And so, folks, I want to thank Nancy for your introduction, for your friendship all these years, Nance, and Paul, thank you as well. And I want to thank the extraordinary job you've done delivering the omnibus, just like you delivered so many critical pieces of legislation last year. And Hakeem and Steny and Jim and Emmanuel Cleaver and Pete, Congresswoman Catherine Clark, and all of you out there. Let me first say that I want to thank you. Thank you for the support you provided Ukraine. I was on the phone today for a better part of an hour with Zelensky, who I speak to almost daily. The people of Ukraine have demonstrated a remarkable source of bravery and courage, but the security assistance that you've provided has been absolutely critical in their defense. Second, I want to thank you for showing a unified front to the world. When Putin unleashed his assault, he thought he could divide NATO. He thought he could literally divide this country, the West, the United States, in terms of the parties. I know a former ambassador knows that out there. He thought he could divide Democrats and Republicans at home. But he failed. He failed. For months, the United States has worked tirelessly to keep our allies and partners together. As our former ambassador you see on television a lot, thank God, will tell you, I've spent literally hours and hours and hours and hours keeping the alliance together, the EU, NATO, and all of our allies, including our Asian allies. As a result, we've been able to ramp up our economic pressure on Putin and further isolate Russia on the global stage. This morning, along with the G7 nations in Germany, Canada, France, Italy, Japan, and the United Kingdom, we moved, which I know you wanted to do initially, and Nancy, I drove her crazy, on most favored nation status, as we call it in the United States, permanent normal trade relations, eliminate them. But folks, I know I've occasionally frustrated you, but more important than us moving when we want to is making sure all of NATO is together. They have different vulnerabilities than we do, just like in the oil embargo. A lot of them could not. The only way took, I think you know, weeks to work out. I said, we're going to block oil, Russian oil and energy. We consume 15% of it. They rely totally on it. Without Russian oil, they're going to find themselves in a position where they get choked off in a way that far exceeds anything we do. So it took a long time sitting with my counterparts and saying, look, we're going to block oil, but I'm not going to ask you to do it. I'm going to say to you, you do what you can. I'm going to explain why it's not rational for you to do the same thing. In the meantime, we're going to help you get energy through liquefied natural gas and a whole range of other things. The point is, revoking PNTR for Russia has made it harder for Russia to do business with the United States, but in doing it with unison with our allies that kept together make up half the global economy, half of it. It's a crushing blow to Russia. Along with our partners and allies, we've stepped up pressure on corrupt Russian billionaires. We're increasing coordination among the G7 countries and to target, capture the ill-begotten gains, the yachts. You see some of these yachts 450 feet long. No, I'm serious. Hundreds of millions of dollars in value. They're luxury apartments. The totality of our economic sanctions and export controls are crushing the Russian economy. The ruble has lost, and I know many of you know this in detail, lost more than half its value. You know what the value of a ruble is versus a dollar? You'd need 200 rubles to equal $1 today. 200. Moscow Stock Exchange is closed for a simple reason. I get asked, well, why is it closed? Because for the last 2 weeks, because the moment it opens, it will be disbanded. You hear me? It will blow up. Credit rating agencies have downgraded Russia's government to junk status. Junk status. The list of private businesses and international corporations leaving Russia is growing day by day by day. I want to be clear, though. We're going to make sure Ukraine has the weapons to defend themselves from invading Russian force. And we will send money and food aid to save Ukrainian lives. We're going to welcome Ukrainian refugees with open arms if, in fact, they come all the way here. And as we provide this support to Ukraine, we're going to continue to stand together with our allies in Europe and send an unmistakable message that we will defend every inch of NATO territory, every single inch, with a united, galvanized NATO. One movement. That's why I moved over 12,000 American forces along the borders with Russia, Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, Romania, etc. Because they move once. Granted, if we respond, it is World War III, but we have a sacred obligation on NATO territory, a sacred obligation, Article 5. And we will not, although we will not fight the Third World War in Ukraine. Putin's war against Ukraine was never be a victory. Democrats are rising to meet the moment, rallying the world on the side of peace and security. We're showing the strength and we'll never falter. But look, the idea that we're going to send in offensive equipment and have planes and tanks and trains going in with American pilots and American crews, just understand, and don't kid yourself, no matter what you all say, that's called World War III, okay? Let's get it straight here, guys. That old expression, don't kid a kidder.